Welcome to our kitchen. My name's Tracy.
And I'm Hayley.
And today I'm going to be cooking cleaner banana choc chip muffins.
That's the one. And I'm going to be telling you all about the ingredients.
Yes. So, Hayley is a nutrition student from Curtin University.
Yes, I am. And I'd just like to quickly thank Keep It Cleaner and the lovely girls and their whole team there that work at Keep It Cleaner for providing us with this recipe today. It's one of our favourites, and all the times that I've made it at home, Mum's gone, wow, these are amazing. So we thought we'd make them for you today and tell you all about them.
Hayley cooked them at home probably for the first time a couple of months ago, didn't you? And I went, oh, we've got to put those on the Cooks Collective and show everyone about those. So I'm going to get the muffins made first, and then while they're cooking, we're going to talk about the ingredients. So thank you for joining us. If you're watching us live, we're making some beautiful muffins. And if you have any questions as we work our way through this video this morning, please let us know, and we can answer all the questions that we possibly can about these beautiful, very good for you muffins. Because usually when you're eating stuff like this, there's no nutrition really in there, is there?
Not always, no.
Not always.
If you're thinking about a muffin, just a normal muffin recipe, a lot of the time the ingredients are quite refined. There's not necessarily fruit in there, or
I've got a face there with the nose.
I know, one of the ingredients is very ripe bananas, and Mum's managed to find very, very ripe bananas
in our freezer at home.
I was going to say, what do you like to do with your
in our freezer at
bananas?
home? So just to let you know, I've got two extra large eggs in there. I've got two very ripe bananas.
Very ripe.
And we're going to tell you what the advantages and disadvantages are of very ripe bananas over regular bananas as well in a little while. We've got almond milk in there, haven't we, Bells? Yes. And we're going to go through a number of almond milk brands and have a look at which is better for you and so on and so forth. I'm also adding some maple syrup here rather than sugar, and we're getting a lot of our sugar from the bananas, and some Greek yogurt. So if you wanted to make them dairy free, how could they make them dairy free?
Could use coconut yogurt or dairy free yogurt. Any dairy free yogurt would probably work. So we're mixing all of our wet ingredients in one bowl. Very messy.
I know. Why don't I just get a whisk out? Shall I do that?
Perhaps that might be a good idea.
Just trying to minimise washing up. That's what I do at home. Minimise washing up. But as I'm whisking, this banana will break up as well. And yeah, it's going everywhere. So I'm going to whisk in all the... I do make a mess, don't I?
Because
I think I just
that's okay. You can just clean it up afterwards.
Let's do that. Yes, I can. Seeing as I'm making it, somebody else might want to wash up. Okay, and do you want to talk about the dry ingredients? I'm going to be adding spelt flour, which we're going to be telling you about, obviously, almond meal, and some chocolate chips, and some baking powder. Because whilst there's a little bit of raising agent in there with the eggs, it's not really enough to make the muffins nice. You'd have to call them muffin rock cakes, I think.
Something like that.
So just a little teaspoon of baking powder, and we've chosen one which is the aluminium free one as well, the Bob's Red Mill baking powder, no added aluminium.
Who would have thought that there'd be aluminium?
I know,
in
fancy putting aluminium in baking powder and thinking that it's okay to put aluminium in your body. All right, so one of the I was going to do wet and dry.
I wasn't sure why I had two bowls.
Oh, because I changed my mind.
You changed your mind.
It's because everything is so beautifully measured out for me. But if I was doing this at home, I would put all the wet stuff in here in a bowl and add the dry stuff, not measuring it out beforehand, but that's just how I would do it. All right, so just a quick mix. Don't over mix this because we don't want to make the muffins tough. Like that. If you wanted to put some vanilla extract in, you could, couldn't you? I just
for sure.
don't want to go like that because I want to lick my finger, and I can't do that on the video, can I?
Sure.
So while I am spooning these into our muffin cases, I find my little tip for this is I find muffin cases make life a lot easier, because cleaning out the muffin tins is one of life's...
It's not the most enjoyable thing.
No, what's the opposite of joy? Sadness is? I don't know.
It's a bit dramatic.
Well, I know, very dramatic, isn't it?
It's
one of life's little bit, yes, annoying things. So I find Also, with if you're going to be doing these for school lunches as well, for kids to take for school lunches, that's a really great little paper
for sure.
package
You used to do that
for
for
them
me all the
to
time.
take them at school. Because I did actually have some silicone ones as well, which are really quite good.
Yeah.
Except they're not sort of like boomerang ones, are they? They don't actually come home.
Not always.
Sometimes things don't come home
When I
from
was younger,
lunchboxes,
not
do they?
always.
So I'm also quickly going to tell them before I forget, because I'm forgetting a lot at the moment, aren't I, Hayley? Sorry. That I have actually, because we've used very, very wet, ripe bananas from the freezer, I have added 2 more tablespoons of spelt flour to counteract that extra moisture.
I'm sure if you've made muffins before, you're familiar, or even cakes, with the texture of what the raw mix looks like as well. So if it looks a bit too runny, you can just add a little bit more spelt flour and see how you go.
Yeah, you don't want to be adding 200 grams more or anything silly like that, but certainly a couple of tablespoons extra will be really good. All right, so should we go through the
what do you want to
ingredients? Because
should we start with bananas?
Why don't we start with bananas?
Okay, wonderful.
Not in pajamas. We're over that now.
So bananas are really interesting. A lot of recipes do call for ripe bananas to be used in mixes like this, like muffins and baking and that sort of thing. So a lot of people wonder what the difference is between the green bananas and the ripe bananas.
As
so there's
in calories.
Well, yeah, because they taste so different, a lot of people assume that...
Am I hopeless at this? Or what?
No, you're doing a great job. Because they're sweeter, a lot of people assume that they've probably got higher calories in them because, you know, if things are sweeter, they would have more sugar in them, blah, 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 which is kind of correct. But basically, if you think about the two bananas, they've got the same amount of carbohydrate in them. The difference is from going from green bananas to ripe bananas, the starch in the banana actually starts to break down. So carbohydrates are made up of sugar molecules and they look different. They're a different molecule when they're in starch and in carbohydrate. But when they start to break down, they break down into those sugar molecules, and that's what makes it taste sweeter. So ultimately, they do have the same amount of carbohydrates in them. It's just in a different form. And also the fiber is a bit different. So in green bananas, it's actually insoluble. So that feeds your large intestine, the bacteria in there. It's a prebiotic as a green banana. But as a ripe banana, it's broken down a bit more and it's much more soluble. So it travels through quicker and it doesn't sit in your large intestine for as long. And
so what's a prebiotic?
So a prebiotic basically makes a great environment for the bacteria in the large intestine. So if you don't have any prebiotics, there's lots of different prebiotics you can get. There's prebiotics and probiotics. Would recommend Googling them because there's heaps of natural pre and probiotics as well. You don't just have to take them in the pill form. But prebiotics...
Asparagus.
Yeah. Yogurt. Prebiotics set up... It's like a little home. It makes a little home in your gut for the probiotics, for the good bacteria, which is what we want. So today we're using ripe bananas, and that, of course, is going to make it sweeter. And the riper your bananas are, the sweeter your muffins will be. So because we've got super ripe bananas, it's a good way of sweetening your food. So you don't necessarily have to use refined sugars and that sort of thing. You can actually use fruit, which is awesome.
Isn't it? Just, yes. Just love bananas. Yeah. Very, very useful. All right. So that's our banana information. So
banana facts.
Banana facts. Okay.
Do you want to do almond milk next?
Yes, we definitely could, because this is I'm so interested in this, and both Hayley and I really feel that it's important to give
know
people,
what you're looking for when you're buying products like these.
It's easy stuff to check up with in the supermarket when you're there. So just in case you've just joined us, I'm here in the kitchen with Hayley, and we're making cleaner banana chocolate chip muffins full of nutrition and goodness for you, for a sweet treat for the school holidays or for the or for
whenever.
Don't eat the whole batch at once, so we must remember to mention that.
Yeah, don't.
And so please ask questions if you are watching us live on Facebook or on the Cooks Collective. We'd love to answer your questions if you have any about making these super duper special muffins. So almond milk, when we go into the supermarket, how many different brands of almond milk are there?
It's becoming more and more popular milk alternatives. So for those who are lactose intolerant or whatever, if you don't like the taste of cow's milk, if you want to try something like almond milk, one of its great benefits is it tastes like almonds. So even if you're not having almond milk because
of
you're lactose intolerant. Like I'm not lactose intolerant, but I like the taste of almond milk.
It's just nice to mix it up a little bit sometimes, isn't it? And have almond milk on your porridge or whatever in the morning.
Yeah.
And then have regular milk in your coffee if you want to.
Whatever. So mix it up.
Yep. Oh, I think we might have a question there from the cameraman. Well, not from
someone
the cameraman.
Who's throwing the question at us.
Someone via the cameraman. Yes.
Oh,
we will get to that.
Christina. So Christina's just asked rice malt syrup. What are our thoughts on it? It's all very exciting for us. We're very passionate about different types of sugar. So this is another thing that we're going to get to, Christina, we promise. But going back to
the milk first, and then
going back to almond milk. So the 3 different brands we have here, you see a lot of people using Milk Lab almond milk at coffee shops to make coffee. Almond Breeze you also see at coffee shops. And then this is the Nutty Bruce activated almond milk. So what I think it's the most important thing to look for when you're buying almond milk in the supermarkets is check the ingredients list. This one only contains 2.5% almonds. So if you think about it, if you're going to get almond milk, you'd like almonds in there. So it's got filtered water. And of course, you can't just have ground up almonds because otherwise it'd be almond meal. You need something to make it watery and a milk-like consistency. So we've got filtered water. There's also tapioca starch, mineral salt, salt, stabilizer, emulsifier, and natural flavor. So for the carton almond milks, a lot of them do have emulsifiers and stabilizers because they're in a carton. They're not actually refrigerated. So that's why they have them in there. Also, if they're getting heated to a high temperature, it's important to have those sort of ingredients. So there's nothing wrong with them. But if you are using them for at home for not so commercial, don't they look nice?
They do look lovely, don't they?
Not so commercial reasons. I would go for a high percentage of almonds and less ingredients. So this one has Australian water. Wow. Almonds 3.5%. It does have added sugar. So I don't know what they're adding it as. There's sunflower oil, maltodextrin, which isn't great, acidity regulators, vegetable gums, sunflower, I can never pronounce that word, lecithin.
Yes.
And salt. So again, a couple of ingredients that I'd probably aren't the best if you want to go for the best almond milk.
You can make almond milk at home from almonds and water, and especially if you've got a Thermomix, very easy to make almond milk. But
so
it takes time, doesn't it?
This one's got the highest percentage of almond milks out of the almonds in the milk out of the ones that we've got here today. And this one has 10% almonds. So going from 2.5% to 10%, it's a pretty big jump. And as you may not be able to tell, this one's actually refrigerated. So because of that, it does have less ingredients in it. It's just water, almonds, organic brown rice syrup, and sea salt, and that's it.
So the organic brown rice syrup is one of those sugars that we were talking about, wasn't it? Yes. So the sugars in all of those, this one just had sugar written on it. Yes, is that correct?
Yes, it does.
Sugar, and what sugar did the Almond Breeze have in it? It
this
does
one
say
has
unsweetened, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does have unsweetened. So you can, Almond Breeze does just have regular or unsweetened. So I think they're aware of the people looking for unsweetened almond milk because it does have.
Yeah, so there is no type of sugar in here.
No added sugar.
No. Natural flavour.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay, so should we go on to the sugars then?
Yes, we certainly can.
Yep.
So I just think, for me personally, cutting through all the labelling and everything, to go with something that is refrigerated means that, to me, it's got less preservatives in immediately. It's like buying orange juice off the shelf as opposed to orange juice from the fridge in the supermarket. If you look at the one on the fridge, it's got on the shelf, so it's probably got concentrated fruit juice in it, which means a massive amount of sugar in there, and that could be the preservative. They don't necessarily have preservative in them.
So the more you read ingredients lists, the more you'll become familiar with what they use as preservatives and that sort of thing. And it's always good to do your own research if you're interested in it. Just Googling the ingredients, because if you don't recognize them, I think it's important to
find out
understand what they are, because because although they don't always look like whole foods, they do have their time and place for preserving and for getting textures and that sort of thing. We have a question. Yeah.
Is there an app you recommend?
Right. Is there an app you recommend? I know from when I was younger, you have that little card in your wallet. Because
Additive Alert, Julie, what was her surname, Bri? Can you remember? Don't know why I think Edie. I don't know. Julie.
I don't know.
Additive Alert, Julie.
Because I'm lucky enough to be studying nutrition, we actually go through a lot of these different regulators and emulsifiers and all that sort of thing in class. So I don't really use an app because we're learning about it.
Okay, so from an older lady perspective, what I would do over the years of researching lots and lots of bits and pieces is that I would definitely go and search Australian additives or additives for Australian products and go from there. And if you find that you can see an additive on a label and it's not on that app, then you may have to go and look for another app. So I think that's the way. Julie Edie. I thought that I did say that, didn't I? Mm-hmm. See, my long-term memory, nothing wrong with it. Short-term memory.
Well done.
Yeah. All right. So these are going to help me because they've got nutrition in them.
Yes. So I've got some notes
sugars.
here on added sugars. Apologies for me not being able to remember everything. I wish I could. But the sugar that we've used today is maple syrup.
Yeah.
So you'll get sweetness from maple syrup. You'll also get sweetness from the ripe bananas because they do have fructose, which is a type of sugar in them. It's a naturally occurring sugar in fruit. So basically, I think
is
something
sugar, though, isn't it? That's the whole thing that we were having this big conversation about.
I think something that some people don't understand is that all types of sugar get treated the same, pretty much, in your body. Ultimately, they get treated the same. So I've got an awesome list of different types of sugars in disguise. I'll read a couple to you. Agave nectar, barley malt, brown sugar, cane sugar, fruit juice concentrate, glucose, maltodextrin, maple syrup, molasses, rice malt, raw sugar, golden syrup, all sorts of stuff can be called sugar in disguise. So I think when baking or using sugar in your food, it's important not to get too hung up on the trace minerals and vitamins in there, which is why a lot of people do go for less processed sugars like maple syrup or fruit. The things that come with naturally occurring sugars is not high enough. Like if you were thinking about the trace minerals and vitamins, you'd have to have a lot of that sugar to actually get the benefits. So my advice when choosing sugars to bake with is think about the taste. Which one do you like the taste of? Because as Mum and I were discussing, just plain white sugar is sweetness. That's
the only
flavour
get
from it.
Nothing else. No butterscotch, no caramel.
So yeah, you can get different flavours from sugars. So again, don't get too hung up on going for agave nectar or you've got to have maple syrup or that sort of thing. You can choose ones that you like.
I think the maple syrup to me probably has the cleanest, sweetest flavour, not being butterscotchy there again. It's just got this great flavour. Of course, honey is one of nature's most beautiful sweeteners. But of course, once you cook with it, the health benefits are
diminish
not
slightly.
not as good as if you have them if you have it raw.
So and one of my favourite rules is less refined the better. Like if you think about it, whole foods are better for you in the long run anyway. So if you do want to steer clear of less refined stuff, that's absolutely fine. I'd probably agree with you.
Isn't it funny how I think CSR, I've just thought of this, I think CSR used to have refined sugar on their packet. I wonder if they've still got refined sugar on their packet. I'm looking at Brian.
I don't know.
It's just an interesting thing. If anyone's got any sugar in their pantry, maybe you can go and have a look and let us know if any of your sugar has got refined written on it, because it's a bit of a sort of you don't want to have refined sugar and spelt flour as well.
Yes.
So do you want to do that one, or do you want me to do that one?
We can both do it.
We can both do it. Well, what I know about spelt flour is it's a more ancient form of, or it's a more ancient grain more ancient variety of wheat than our modern wheat. Also, we've used wholemeal spelt in this. It's just such a beautiful, soft, nutty, gorgeous flavour, isn't it? I use it on bread making as well. So it is, and sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes people with gluten intolerant can actually tolerate spelt flour as well, I believe. But there again, it's not a carte blanche
to their own.
Yeah, and spelt flour from Germany will be different from Australian spelt flour. So, there's a bit more research to go into things from reputable sources. And this is why I love
evidence-based sources.
This is why I love Hayley coming in, because she's not just researching online about this. She's being taught by the university, and
we're very lucky to have access to evidence-based sources as well. Not everyone
reliable, and who they're from, so that maybe they might be slightly biased in one way or another, but you will know that while you're doing your research, which is a really fantastic thing to know.
Very lucky.
Very, very lucky. And the chocolate here as well is Callebaut beautiful Belgian chocolate, so that's really fabulous chocolate as well. You don't have to put the chocolate in there if you don't want to. You could put nuts in there if you would prefer to have.
I'd chuck blueberries in there if I felt like it. The banana is quite important to have in there because of the flavour and the texture and whatnot, but you can add other fruit to it if you'd like as well.
Frozen raspberries would be lovely stirred through there as well, because the banana's really quite sweet, so the raspberries are nice to sort of sharp, and this is why we've chosen this bittersweet chocolate as well, because it's not a sickly sweet
and
milk
dark chocolate.
Yeah, so it's dark chocolate.
Doesn't have as much sugar in
it
either.
Have we covered everything? Pastured eggs, pasture raised chickens' eggs.
There is yogurt.
And yogurt, like for us, we love the Mandela yogurt because it is a WA product, and I know for a fact that they're very keen on having as natural a product as possible, and you can go for a pot set yogurt.
So the difference between Greek yogurt and other yogurts is Greek yogurt, it's actually strained, usually about 3 times, so it gets rid of the whey, so it's a more concentrated but still very natural form of yogurt. It's got a higher protein content.
And it's a good source of the lactobacillus as well, which is the good stuff for your gut. Can you see how this is sort of bringing all of this together?
And one fact that we found was quite interesting. A lot of people are really interested in coconut yogurt at the moment, which is absolutely fine if you like coconut yogurt. Like, it's really cool.
Delish.
But the sources that we were looking up were comparing full fat natural yogurt to coconut yogurt, 200 grams of each. The coconut yogurt actually had 3 times the amount of calories, which is something that some people don't always think about when they're going for dairy alternatives.
And when we were talking about calories, do you mean calories as in the lactose? No, because coconut milk won't have any lactose in it.
Fructose.
So fructose in coconut milk. Okay.
Yeah, so calories.
And the fat.
Yeah, calories can have all sorts of stuff in it. So yeah, you're looking at the fat and the fructose mainly. I'm not the biggest fan of talking about calories, but if it is of interest to you, it's good to be aware of it. Because if you're trying to be the healthiest version of yourself and all that good stuff, if you're going for coconut yogurt over full fat, it's good to know that it's actually got 3 times the amount of calories in it.
Yeah. So maybe it's a bit of a sometimes food, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's, again, have a look on the ingredients panel, have a look on the nutrition information panel. It's all good stuff. Yes, Bri.
Question from Sarah.
Yeah. A question from Sarah.
You were saying about heating destroys the nutrients. What about the goodness? Is that still retained in this when it's heated and cooked?
So do you want to repeat that question?
When we cook the muffins, is the goodness lost? It will be diminished. It won't be lost entirely. And that's a great question. But obviously, if you serve this with a dollop of yogurt on the top, how divine would that be? Even if you really wanted extra sugar, but which I don't think you do, you could serve these with a bit of honey on them as well. You know, if you've got that already in your, I keep on wanting to say wardrobe when I mean pantry or fridge. If you've got that already, then those would be my choices to serve the muffins with.
Any sort of processing will diminish some nutrients. And not to a crazy degree. I wouldn't worry about it too much, especially with something like this. If you're looking at having a smoothie and blitzing up all your ingredients, the fibers get broken down and there's less dietary fiber and there's slightly less nutrients, but it's not anything to worry about if that's how you choose to have your fruit and that's how you most enjoy your fruit. And
it's
if that's
better
what
than
you'll
not
get,
eating fruit.
if that's how you're going to get your fruit today, awesome, do that.
But you've got to really remember that with, the smoothie, you're breaking down the fibre, but the fibre's sort of still in there, but it's not quite as beneficial. But whereas if you juice something,
you get rid
the
of
fibre
the
goes in the bin and you drink the calories.
Juice
or you
still
drink
fine though as well.
Yeah,
in
it
moderation,
is, but in
moderation.
I guess that's what we're...
Do we have another question?
One from Jan.
Question from Jan.
If you make your own almond milk, is dehydrating the pulp a good idea?
Oh, if you're making your own almond milk, is dehydrating the pulp a good idea? That's a processing question, and I have done a few processing units, but I'm not so familiar with the making of almond milk. It might be a question for Mum.
So, Jan, when you're talking about dehydrating the pulp, are you going to be making it into almond flour?
Milk.
Oh, you have to dehydrate the almonds?
She's asking, is it best to dehydrate the almond pulp to make almond milk?
No.
Is that not the question?
No. Because you make almond milk, the pulp is a byproduct of almond milk.
Gotcha.
So the pulp at the end,
Sorry, Jan.
Absolutely. I mean, waste
use as much as
warriors.
you
Oh
can.
my gosh, yeah, definitely. That is a really, really good idea to do
Again,
that.
it might have
Remember though, Jan, you won't be able to make your coffee with the almond milk. Like you won't be able to froth that almond milk, but perfectly beautiful for cooking and for having on your porridge and things like that in the mornings. Very, very, very good. And also soaking your oats overnight and having them more as a little bit of a bircher in the morning. I keep saying to Hayley, I really, really want to do that, don't I? But I keep forgetting at night and remembering in the morning when it's too late, don't I?
Yeah.
All right, and let's try the muffins because we're running out of time.
I wouldn't complain about that.
We're
still nice and warm.
going to try them. And what we've also found with this is that when they cool down, the muffins won't actually stick to the, because that was the first thing that we noticed, wasn't it, with these? And we were a bit disappointed when we first cooked these. when you actually
the muffin.
When you actually take that. Take the paper off. Some of it's actually stuck to it, but I won't do it on film. But you can actually just like eat it on the paper if you want to. But it's so delicious. You know what I love about these as well? It's that moistness in the muffins. They are so not dry. They are so moist and absolutely delicious.
The bananas keep them nice and moist, and it's beautiful.
I can't talk with my mouth full, can I?
It's very impolite.
Very impolite. So, but I had to taste them. So next week, have we got a question?
We might have another question.
Jan's come back again. No, I mean once you have made the milk.
Yes. So
Sorry,
I think
Jan. So Jan's just said once we've made the milk, and
so once you've made the milk, definitely, I would definitely give it a go, dehydrating and making almond flour as well.
Slightly different nutrient profile, but still awesome if you can reuse the byproducts.
Of fibre.
Homemade almond milk tastes far better.
Oh, definitely.
Homemade almond milk tastes far better. Thank you, Jan. 100%.
Totally
if you can make your almond milk at home, go for it.
Totally agree. You've probably got way more than 10% of almonds in there. That's why. Absolutely fantastic. So try a batch of these muffins. You'll thoroughly enjoy them. As you saw, very, very quick, wet and dry ingredients together. If you've got any mushy bananas, perfect to use them up. Hey?
Thanks again to Keep It Cleaner for this recipe. It's a beautiful one.
Absolutely. And thank you to everyone for watching. Next week, Bryony and I will be making salad in a jar. We've gone a little bit cool and trendy. It's really quite funny, this, but we're teaching you how to make a gorgeous salad to take to work and how to construct your salad in a jar so that when you get to lunchtime, if you've made it in the morning, it's not all soggy and floppy and horrible and inedible. So we're making a beautiful chicken and satay noodly salad in a jar next week. So join us. It'll be very beautiful. Very beautiful. Yeah. Thank you for coming in, Hayley.
Thank you so much for having me.
Giving us your no-nonsense nutrition information. And we're just going to finish off the muffins now. Not all of them. We're going to share them with our friends.
Sharing's
but I
caring.
want to finish that one. You're going to finish that one.
Okay.